Oh, what the hell? He looked like a cockroach. What's good, y'all? Today we're gonna be reacting to truly evil human experiments that actually happen. All that I ask for is that you never experiment on me, the freak. I know you're thinking about it. Comment any other videos you want me to watch and let's get to it. Right off the bat, we got homie stabbing somebody. Like, let me move my little head. Yeah, that's
evil human experiments.
What is a vivisection?
All right, fellas, let's start things off a little easy. Back in the 4th century BC, civilization was reaching new heights. People were getting more and more curious about the world around us and began a really important question.
I'd be curious too. Philosophical.
Is this real life?
Where's my dad?
Really fry the rice?
Dinner?
All pretty valid questions for people just wishing to learn the workings of the natural world. While many focus on the universe, others chose to focus on the inner workings of humans than not only from a philosophical. Sometimes you just
what is that face? What are you looking like that? What the hell?
That's what Greek physician
he looking at?
wanted to find out. And
Hero Phyllis? Your mother birthed you and decided to name you Hero? Nah, that's kind of tough though. Hero Philos. Filipino?
After getting his education at the Hippocratic,
why does he look like a tweaker? Nah, he's studious though. Got a degree, little hat.
Herophilus turned his bulging eyes towards the city of Alexandria, Egypt. Its big, throbbing library.
What are we talking about?
Just begging to be time to go to Egypt. After getting himself established,
little side. Is that Minecraft in the background? That's a beautiful build.
Student, a young physician named Erasistratus.
These can't be real names. Erasistratus.
They got to work. Together, the two men would begin to carve out
thing one and thing two.
In order to do so, you need some bodies to cut open to start slopping their guts around. And what better way to obtain fresh bodies than criminals?
Bad boy. That's who we're experimenting. Okay.
Captured and supplied by the Alexandrian. Little Hero and Era were like kids in a
oh my god, calm down.
Full glimmer in there, excited to begin
on a little boy. We're cutting open a little boy. Poor guy.
Surely the criminals put under the knife were already past their experiment. Instead, Hero and Era performed live.
He was alive.
Vivisection.
That's
broadened their understanding.
That's what that is.
Human. They even went as far as to perform these surgeries in view of the public.
Not only are you being cut open like you're a piece of meat, like a slice of meat, it's in public. Your mom could be there. Your siblings, like, wow, by these two guys.
Anyone who thought it would be cool and interesting. Wow, that's both cool and interesting. That's what I'm saying. Herophilus documented their findings in extreme detail, making breakthrough discoveries of the. In doing so, he inflicted unimaginable suffering to his subject. Since anesthetics weren't really a thing back then.
I didn't even think about that. They're doing this all without numbing. They're just cutting them open. I mean, they die though, right? Like instantly. They wouldn't really. Would they be kept alive?
The victims every
ouch
until they passed out from the loss.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Reproductive eyes, even purposefully damaging the motor nerves to paralysis. It was basically a big game of what does this button do?
What the hell is that? Oh, okay.
In the end, Hero and Era's findings over 40
years
of
dissections
were revolutionary for the medical, especially since human dissection would be outlawed shortly after their work was completed.
Good riddance.
It wouldn't be until 800 years later that performing human dissections would be practiced
again. Wait, so it's allowed now? No, I've never seen someone cut open someone out in the public.
But like on dead people. Their work was in the renowned library of Alexandria.
Should have just started with that.
They were lost in the Great Fire a few hundred.
They got me looking stupid. Binding of Isaac.
Project 1 was actually proposed immediately of Castle Bravo, a high-yield thermonuclear bomb that was dropped in 1954 by the U. Bravo was part of Operation Castle, a series of other high-yield nuclear.
You didn't want to just stop at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
The goal of establishing superiority over the Marshall Islands, a remote position.
That is beautiful. Those islands are beautiful. Yeah, this is a bomb testing site for sure. But damn, bro, they be really blowing up places that look mad nice. Imagine going on vacation here.
Served as ground zero for the Castle Bravo was the strongest detonation and surprisingly produced 2.5 expected explosive, resulting in an explosive force equivalent to megaton.
I don't even know how to comprehend that. I've placed like 16 TNT in Minecraft before. But I don't think it equates like that.
Perspective, that is 1,000 times the explosive force of the nuclear bomb dropped on the final days of World War II. God damn. To make
that's what I'm saying.
The Marshall Islands were occupied
Bro, really? I guess it is evil experiments, but like, what are we even testing here?
So U.S. officials were kind of like, "Sir, shouldn't we get
I hate people that do that, bro. Why are we sneezing? I swear it's for attention. Every time somebody sneezes, it's for attention.
allergies have been bothering me? Must be
You're
the
bothering me
radiation,
for
right?"
sneezing like that. Attention.
No, but seriously,
Hogger.
are we gonna get those people out of the radiation? Yeah, you know that was on my to-do list.
Hmm?
Well, too late now, so let's just see how things turn out. Operation
Terrible.
Castle was quickly
Turned out
amended
terrible,
with the
didn't
addition
it?
of Project 4.1. This new section aimed to study the human response to significant radiation exposure.
That's what they're studying. I was wondering because I was like, damn, what is like the outcome of all this? And it was freaking wow. It was more of like their reactions, I guess.
You know, as if tens of thousands of Hiroshima and Nagasaki weren't evidence enough. Commander
Right.
of the U.S. Naval Medical Corps, Eugene Cronkite, was in charge of the project and swore everyone involved to absolute secrecy because he thought the public wouldn't be.
This is a real villain, bro. You know those villains from superhero shows and stuff? You know, they got the thing going for them, but this, wow. But will we even classify this man as freaking human at this point?
Keen on the whole test nuclear radiation on non-consenting people thing. Overall, 239 Marshallese residents exposed to significant levels of radiation and began showing signs of radiation poisoning. Symptoms included loss of and significant skin damage, although the wounds heal rather. Immediate observations after 75 days with the conclusion that no long-term were likely.
72 days is not long term, buddy. That's not even a third of a year.
But just out of curiosity, regular checkups were performed on the resident. Women
Good.
saw increases in miscarriages.
Wouldn't that be a
and
must?
stillbirths,
Like, you kind of owe
and
them.
Newborns that survived experienced developmental difficulties of thyroid.
Wow.
cancer. In addition, about 1/3 of those exposed had developed tumors by 20
don't
years
learn.
after operation. In the following years, Marshallese
That a UFO?
spoke out against
What in the world?
with accusations that the scope of the experiment was premeditated. Officials responded, "Nuh-uh."
You know, I'm not even surprised.
During the early years of the Soviet Union, it wouldn't be uncommon for political opponents to quickly fall ill with a strong case of the death at the hands of
Poison.
In fact, it was quite an effective and discreet way to any and all opposition without causing too much of a.
True.
This is why we must rise up against. They got another one. So
They got so used to it.
how were the Soviets so good at well, you've got to run preliminary trials on living subjects. So in 1921,
Classic.
right before the Soviet Union formed, Kamera, this was the Soviet secret
Oh, they big balling.
Here,
Look at that.
new deadly poisons were developed and tested. Most tested were prisoners from the gulags. Various labs built around the country for
What am I looking at?
wasn't approved by the carry on. The ultimate goal of the Kamera was to devise a poison that was not only lethal but undetectable. It would be colorless, tasteless, odorless, and untraceable, and prisoners would be unknowingly administered various, which were disguised as.
Wow. They had you thinking you was getting healed. You was getting cured. And they were doing this. Also, they could get the ultimate poison. Mad scientists,
For
bro.
me, if it isn't an orange Flintstone vitamin, I don't trust it.
What I'm saying, like these bust. Pause.
The various poisons: ricin, which causes severe internal cyanide, which causes seizures, and curare, muscle relaxant that makes you painfully choke to death. In the end, the tests were
more
pretty
you know.
successful for the prisoners. Research led to innovative ways to discreetly deploying a cyanide.
What the hell? He looked like a cockroach.
Making an assassination look like a
Disgusting.
heart attack. But the blue ribbon winner was the concoction known as carbolamine choline chloride, which was basically liquid. Exposure to this sucker sparked a very curious reaction. Instead of a violent telltale "I've been poisoned," the victim would simply be kicked with a rapid all while maintaining silent demeanor. Death occurred since the dissolution of the Soviet Union, and Russian officials the Kamera has been established.
Cap. That's so cap. They so lying out of their. Oh, bro. It's probably like deep in some facility. 24/7 surveillance. God knows when that thing's coming out of the vault. But wow.
Sure.
That's a powerful tool they got.
Now, you may have heard about the Tuskegee syphilis, which was an unethical medical funded by the United States,
As they do. As America does.
which involved the study of 400 African American who had natural. The goal was to observe the effects of the disease when treated.
Oh my gosh, dude.
males. Even though penicillin, an antibiotic for syphilis, eventually became widely available to them, the afflicted men were intentionally never cured.
Like, wow, just what, like, there's people now suffering from like cancer and stuff, no cure. But like they did had the cure at that time. And they were just like, nope, we get keeping it for the sake of science, for the sake of research.
Fucked up, right?
Yup.
Well, the U.S. decided to out the Guatemalan syphilis.
One wasn't enough. We didn't learn. I swear we don't learn.
In 1946, more than 5,500 Guatemalan natives,
damn,
including children, were involved in the
Ooh.
experiment against their, with the Guatemalan government granting access to the unwilling patients in hospitals, mental institutes, even around 1,300
Oh, wow.
relatively healthy individuals.
And they would have lived such normal, probably very fulfilling lives if they just didn't get put into this horrendous situation.
Were internally infected with syphilis, even gonorrhea. Transmission was either done by direct bacterial contact into wounds or by sexual infected natives, which were funded by the U.S. government, by the way.
Of course it was. Why am I surprised? Of course it was funded.
The latter of which proved to be a very effective method. The guy in charge of these, Dr. John, but you can call him Dr. Dickass. He often failed to keep
probably deserved that name.
Records of his experiments, instead would only provide anecdotal evidence, probably because he was unethical, which very much sounds like something only a dickass would do. But all joking aside, the experiments can these people, most notable documented a female patient. The following is an excerpt from that document.
This is about to be some of the grossest stuff. Deep breath.
Berta was a female in February 9th. Berta was in a month later. She developed several weeks later. Dr. Cutler noted that it also developed lesions on her
waist away. That's like the biggest organ we have too.
Berta was 3 months soon after. Dr. Cutler wrote that Berta appeared that same day, gonorrheal another male to both of Berta's as well as her private.
Ew! What?
He also infected her with several days later. Berta's eyes were.
This is messed up.
Days later, told you he was a dick ass. The overall goal of the study.
No freaking kidding, bro. That's wow. I don't even like. I mean, he did mention he didn't even take like proper notes, right? He did it for the love of the game. What a freak.
Study was to determine the effectiveness of. Dr. Cutler had allegedly finalized his 5. No evidence was ever found proving the peer review. Out of all of that suffering,
what a waste, bro.
Medical though, I will say in some glimmer of a treatment program was established by the United States available to the affected Guatemalan population.
It'd be too late by then, though. Like, that's, by the time that gets put into place, part of them will be dead.
Only half were reported to actually have received treatment with a.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I predicted it.
United States President Barack Obama formally apologized to the Guatemalan government 62 years after the study was.
Yeah, cooked. Oh my goodness. And it gets worse?
That last one was quite the doozy, huh? Well, buckle up because it's about to get way worse. See this right here? This is Unit 731. It was home to some of the most notorious
freaky pictures
and truly evil war crimes committed by the Japanese War II, which are definitely up there with some. Unit 731 served as a lethal human experimentation and biological weapons laboratory during the Sino-Japanese War, which ran concurrent to most of the events of World War. This nightmare facility was established in 1935 in the sub-provincial Chinese city of Harbin, 4 years after Japanese forces invaded the Chinese region of Manchuria. Inside, hundreds of thousands of Chinese and even some Russian prisoners subjected to some of the most egregious and horrifying human.
Not only are you locked up because you're a prisoner in some foreign country, they start touching you.
Experiments performed on men, women.
Okay, yeah. All inclusive, I guess.
Which is those chosen for experimentation were dehumanized and referred to as maruta, logs, rather than as people because the cover-up story for it was a log. It should be noted that the vast majority of the experiments in the facility were carried out to fulfill morbid curiosity, with those performing
the love of the game. Nah, that's so messed up. But nah, seriously, they're just doing it for the love of the game at this point. Like, this is crazy.
Overseeing the studies described as mere playing. Testimony from a Japanese professor who witnessed the studies was quoted saying that some of the experiments had nothing to do with the ability of there is such a thing as professional curiosity. What would happen if what medical purpose was served by performing and none at all was just playing around.
Beheadings.
Professional people So basically, experiments were like, I wonder what would happen if I chucked a grenade at a guy. Bang. Oh, no.
Yuck.
Gee, I wonder if this heavy object will crush this guy. Will this guy freeze to death if I freeze
Ew. Man,
him to
ew.
death? Wow, who would have guessed? A lot of these
got
experiments
sat
are
on.
designed to tests include depriving victims of food or water, see how long they placing victims in low pressure, their eyes popped from their skulls, injecting victims animal blooms upside down until, or even draining victims to study blood loss
Jesus Christ, man.
limit. Some victims were even dehydrated in front of location.
Ew. He looks like a dried up worm. Nah, that's a terrible way to go. Why does skin light go inwards? Like I've seen that in shows sometimes. But I wonder why it goes inwards.
At the time of death, they only weighed 20% of their. Perhaps one of the examples I've read was
That's like one of the worst ways to lose weight ever. Fast, but horrible. And you kind of die in the process.
forced.
Ew.
Mothers were injected just to see how they affect. Sometimes from a vivisection out of the mother for.
What? That's the thing. Vivisection. That's the thing they did in the beginning with the hot dog. But this time's on babies in their mom.
Into here, so if you are curious, I encourage you to look them up. Legit. By the end of the war, as Soviet forces were, Japanese officials had all remaining prisoners execute. Entirety of Unit 731 hastily demolished to destroy any remaining of the programs. The United States had discovered trace evidence, pressured Japanese officials under threat that they would be handed over to Soviet officials for trial and if they did not cooperate.
Oh wow.
Once the U.S. learned the
We're holding them
full extent of the
accountable?
horrors of Unit 731, all of those involved were swiftly brought to trial and executed for their crimes. Except, no, they
What?
actually weren't. In
Why?
reality, the United States
Why?
claimed that the data collected from pretty valuable, since it is
Oh my
otherwise
God. Of course. Of course.
As such, many of those involved were granted freedom for the data. The deal
Crazy.
was struck, and the United States
Only America, bro.
the Soviet Union, however, put trials against the top military leaders, and in the end, 12 individuals were tried and spent several years in labor camp, although the United repeatedly denied that ever. Oh, that was a bummer. Here's something to cheer you up. I'll see you over there.
Cheer me up. There's even more. It doesn't end there. There's even more. My gosh, dude. Actually crazy.